1. Hello,
We are live.
world. Man, we are live?
Right now. We're live.
Is that going to be your intro? Like, we are live.
We are live. No, isn't that somebody?
I don't know. Never heard of it.
Okay.
What's up, guys? Dave here. John, the professor to my right.
How we doing, everybody?
Brilliant mind. Always wearing nice hats. Great guy. To our left, definitely one of the best amateur female fighters in the galaxy. Like, I was going to say Florida, but I was like, what's bigger than Florida? So I went to Galaxy.
That works.
That works, right?
That works.
Taylor White. Taylor Samantha White in the building.
The next big thing.
Wow. I did coin that. This is the summer of the next big thing.
You
Yeah.
absolutely did.
I did. I coined it.
100%.
July 15th is, right? No, June 15th. Combat night, Duval.
Yeah.
Main event championship fight versus Shelby Corrin.
Yep.
So that's that. We'll talk about that, but then just kind of the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we got July, I believe it's 17th,
Yeah,
17th.
around there.
I think I nailed it. Undisputed Promotions championship title fight. We're not allowed to announce your opponent yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but you'll be that, and then also August. I don't know if we're allowed to say.
I'm sorry.
You might be doing something else. So just
Yeah.
it's the summer of the
jam-packed
next
for the
big
summer.
thing.
Yeah.
We're jam-packed for the summer is what we're saying here.
I think I would like that if I was a fighter, especially living in Florida. Like, I want to get as much in during the summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Outside, train,
100%.
beach, run, sweat, lean, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited for this summer. It's
Okay.
the first time ever I've been able to fight back to back to back. So I'm excited about that.
Do
you
you-
you ready to sweat in the gym though? I mean, because
Yeah.
it's usually like 106 plus in our gym during the summer.
In December.
In December.
In December, yeah.
That
you're
is
right
true,
about that,
actually.
too.
Do you got the big first title fight? Do you at all
Yeah.
think of the next two at all, or is it just shit? No. One fight at a time. Shelby, a really tough opponent. Combat night title, 115 pounds. Mitchell Chamali.
Mhm.
Is it just that? You're focused in... I was going to say something else, but you're not allowed to say it anymore. You're focused into something, and, or is it just that right now?
Honestly, like, I'm really excited to fight on the 15th and, this whole summer, but, like, my mentality, like, I want to be in the UFC already. That's how I feel, honestly. I'm still an amateur, but I'm ready to go in the UFC and fight, like,
Wow.
and make some money. That's what I want to do. That's where my mentality is right now. Like, every time I train in Orlando and I train with other pros, like, they all tell me, even Dad, like, he'll write me once a week and be like, we're training for Joanna and Rose. That's what
Wow.
we're training for.
By the way, Dad is Coach Pete White.
Yeah.
So if someone's listening or
Shout
not.
out to
The
Pete.
wizard.
I know the Wizard?
That's what I like to call him.
Oh, that's a
Wizard.
pretty
I like
badass
that, actually.
nickname. What,
That's what I like to call him.
John,
like
I just
that.
thought of a great nickname for Pete White.
Go ahead. Did you? What is it?
The Wizard!
Oh, I think that's perfect.
It's perfect, right?
That's perfect.
No, that's awesome. I like that. The Wizard for Coach Pete White. I like it. But, So tell us about going to Orlando.
I train at Fusion and I go to Paul's sometimes. I train with all professional fighters and they, work me so nobody else can. And, I'm really thankful for all those people that take time to work with me and help me in every aspect of the game. And, I love everybody up there, honestly. It's become like a second home.
Yeah, you get a lot of good work up there. You get to work with, Hannah Goldie and all
Yeah.
the lower weights that they have there. They have a lot of
Mhm.
125 guys, 135 guys, a lot of lower weights, and they do a real good job working with Taylor. And she gives as good as she gets, man. I tell you what, I've seen her in there and she's banging it out. And
Yeah.
she's we went to a sparring practice not too long ago, right, for boxing.
Yeah.
Man, when I tell you guys, she looked good. She looked good, man. I came out of there with big smiles and grins on my face when I left that. I liked it.
As a coach, do you ever get worried about maybe peaking too soon before a big fight? Or you want,
No,
every
no,
time
no.
you see Taylor, like, wow, that's the best. You just want to keep on building on what you have.
Well, Pete is really good about that. Pete is really good about making sure you're peaking at the exact right time that you need to be. He's and he's teaching me that right now, and I'm doing a good job with it. But Pete usually takes care of that for her, and he does a hell of a job with it. Like I said, he does a great job with Michael. He does a great job with all the fighters, and he really does a good job with her. And they have that. You know, I dare say that little special connection there. They're really fun to watch together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We
And
definitely
it
do.
just works. It's really it's a father-daughter bond, but there is a fighter-coach genuine, like, it's really cool. It's fun to watch.
That's so rare.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
when you have the coach, like I always think of Chuck Liddell and
John Ackerman,
I always think of GSP and
Faraz Sahabi.
yeah, like I think of Taylor White and Pete White.
White, the
Like
Wizard.
yeah, the Wizard. So it's like you got the next big thing and the Wizard. God, I'm just all nicknames all night. All right, all nicknames all night. We got a lot of people watching on there already. We appreciate you guys.
Yes,
Fightbananas.com. So, do you feel yourself sometimes feeling better than others? Because sometimes, you know, I don't want to give out too much, but after a fight, sometimes you feel, you're like, Dave, I felt great.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, no, I didn't feel that good. Do you feel yourself like, wow, a week or 2 weeks before a big fight, like, I'm ready. Like, put me in the cage right now. Do you feel that?
Honestly, like, I don't even know, because, you know, I feel like once you feel so great, like right now I feel great, I feel 100%, like,
Yeah.
but then once, like, that last week of training, you're like, oh shit, did I spar enough? Did I, you know, run enough? Did I get enough cardio in? Like, did I diet the best? You know, like, you start,
Yeah.
like, to rethink yourself, and I've definitely had, like my last MMA fight, like, that was the worst I've ever felt, and, like, the worst I've ever felt. I felt like I was literally sleeping. Like, I don't even remember the fight, like, honestly. And then I've had other fights when I was, like, wide awake, and, you know, I felt great even after a war.
And, like, that's what we talk about all the time. The fight game, 80% mental, 20% physical?
Oh, 100%.
Like,
100%.
90%
Yeah.
mental,
Yeah,
50%?
100%.
Like,
if you take an athlete and they work hard and they work up to their athletic ability and beyond, like an athlete should, like a
Yeah.
real athlete,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
who's taking what they're doing seriously.
Yeah.
for sure.
If you put that on the level playing field and everybody worked their butt off, it's 100% mental.
You're right.
You know what I mean? If you put that, like, you get two good athletes in there, so you get, you know, Conor and Khabib. If they really did put 100% in, like they both should in every
you're right.
category, it comes down to who is the toughest, who has the best mental game. Simple as that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at it
Definitely.
that way, it really is. And she's one of those athletes that gives it everything.
For
She's
sure.
She's never cutting corners. She's never doing anything. She's working her butt off. So, then, yeah, it's all about as long as
100%.
she's feeling good.
In the fight game, other than, you know, football, basketball, baseball, they play for, you know, 60 minutes in a football game, 60 minutes in basketball, right? No, 48 minutes. But in a fight, we were watching the Rose-Jessica fight, and to me, Rose was piecing her apart.
Yeah.
First round, 10-9, a big knockdown. The second round with a knockdown on the knee. But one thing, and like why I love maybe mixed martial arts, maybe more than anything else, is that one moment. One play, one shot, right? Like, even Rose was winning that, you know, transition. Then all of a sudden, Jessica just had her, picked her up, and the fight is over, and we have a new champion. Like, that quick.
Yeah.
Like, when you say mentally, I thought Rose was mentally strong going into that fight. I thought she looked great. I thought, like, she had a great presence about her. Even after the fight, I was like, dude, this woman is top 5 in the world at any weight class, any time in the world.
And I think what broke was there was one mental lapse.
Ooh.
You should have let go.
Ooh.
I 100% agree.
I just, like, I think you're so
Yeah.
confident in your ground game,
Yeah.
and I get it, but you're one mental lapse.
Okay.
And again, everybody has their own mindset, so I'm not saying that she probably thought she chose the right decision for her. You know what I mean? And that's the way it goes. It's just you make a decision in there and you live with it.
Yeah.
And anything can happen, but I think that's where that one mental lapse at. And you're
I
right,
agree.
she probably was stronger mentally.
Yeah, going into it, right?
Yeah.
You know, I love always talking to you about fights, any kind of fights, heavyweight, Francis fight, or, you know, the Rose fight. If you had to pick, it's you, Madison Square Garden, first row, and you're watching a fight. You had any fight to pick, what would you pick?
Oh, hold on.
Like
hold on.
me-
She's a boxing fan too, so I want to. Even if it's a boxing match,
Okay.
even any type of combat sport, I want to hear this.
Okay, if it's me fighting somebody or
No,
me
no, no,
watching
you're
somebody.
You're
watching.
watching.
You get
You're
to pick
watching.
the match.
You're just, yeah.
Do they have to be the same weight class?
Yes, because it has
No, no.
to kind of make sense, right? It's got to make sense.
Okay, I'll take
yeah,
that.
Like,
But it doesn't have to be the same era of anything.
no, yeah.
Okay.
You're drinking wine. You're in the front row. You got Oreos there. It's just you're chilling, relaxing. You just want to see the greatest kind of fight that gets you motivated and like a emotionally connected?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Man, what a great question.
Well, it 100% has to be Joanna.
Okay.
And
Who you just met a couple weeks ago, by the way.
She's so awesome. It has to be Joanna. And honestly, I would like her to fight Rose again.
Okay.
Honestly, that's who I would want. And if I can watch it front row too, like
front
that's
row.
awesome.
And Joanna would be like pointing at you through the
Yeah,
cage. She's like,
like,
"That's my girl. That's my
Joanna,
dog, Taylor. That's my dog."
She's awesome.
Hey, I'm down with it.
That's a
Yeah.
good one. How about you? And
Me?
you're like to me, I feel like a historian of both boxing and MMA. But if you had one dream fight,
One dream fight.
yep.
I definitely have two, but I will take the one that I ultimately really wish would have truly happened at the prime of their both careers. Anderson Silva and GSP.
Wow.
Front row.
Yeah, front row.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sitting there. Oh,
Yeah.
all day.
Oh yeah.
All day.
All
My
day.
other one was Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson.
I was thinking that too. I was
just have to see
gonna say
because
that.
that question gets asked so
Yeah, yeah.
much.
Yeah.
I want to see it, and if I front row,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that question will probably, to me, this is the
Okay.
real. That question will be asked even more in the future.
Oh,
Like the
easily.
more, like their legacies to me build more and more. That HBO just had a Muhammad
Yeah.
Ali special.
they become mythological characters.
Yeah.
The mountain
They're the
that
T-Rex.
was Mike Tyson is a mythological mountain.
Yeah.
True.
You know the greatness and savviness of Ali is like a mythological legend. Like he called his shot when he did what he did. He was the first of his time to really do. I mean, he did it all. He was the entertainer, and he was the first entertaining combat sports fighter.
yeah,
Like he knew what he was doing for every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
he was Hulk Hogan before Hulk Hogan,
Oh,
Ric Flair before
yes,
Ric
yes.
Flair. Then he was
Woo!
Conor McGregor before Conor McGregor. Like Muhammad Ali started it all, but of course the best, and why even Conor, he backed it up like so many times.
Yeah.
If you just talk a lot and you're funny
Yeah.
and you can't fight, you're me. you know what I mean? Like you're just a normal dude with great hair. But Muhammad Ali can back it up in box. Like it was incredible. That's a good one. Like
That is a good one.
That's
I was gonna say that.
top notch.
But because I'm a mixed martial artist and I love kicking and everything like that, I want GSP Anderson Silva.
That's still a good fight
At
too.
185, I would guess, right? I would want Anderson at the peak because to me,
180 I always thought was fair.
180, okay.
Because that would slow the cut for GSP, and I think he would weigh enough. And that would only force Anderson down 5 more, and I think he could make that.
Yeah.
Because he never looks shredded when he gets on a 185 scale.
no.
Yeah.
So, and he used to he fought 170 a couple times.
Oh,
from
way
back.
Yeah,
but I'm saying,
way
I think
back.
in their prime in the UFC, I think he could have done it.
One, and I think you're going to love this, at the peak of their powers, Mike Tyson, John Jones, BJ Penn, Amanda Nunes, every fighter. But at the peak at the powers, I think Anderson Silva was the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. At the very peak, at the very top of his game. So, like, to see him at the peak fight GSP, who was, easily, to me, the greatest welterweight ever, that's gold.
Yeah.
That's gold.
Yeah, that's a good fight.
I agree with your comment about Anderson Silva. I'm biased as hell because he was my favorite of all time.
That's more like I feel like I'm living like Pete through me right now because like I know he's so excited for me to have a box title and MMA. Like that's awesome. Like I'm so excited for that. I'm 100% excited.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
like,
can't
I love
wait.
watching her box. I love being a part of it. It's awesome. It's beautiful. I love it.
I'm so excited.
If someone right now can say in a crystal ball and they come back to you, be like, hey, I know probably to me, I think, your absolute dream is UFC.
100%.
If someone said, hey, you would be known as the greatest female boxer of all time.
Dude.
Be better than Katie Taylor then.
Yeah.
Like you would be the
better.
absolute GOAT. Or like you would go to the UFC and, you would have 2 wins and then no female would fight you ever again. But like you would be the absolute boxing GOAT. Like would that interest you?
100%. As long as I'm making bank, like that's fine with me.
Boxing
I
GOAT.
I would be
I
like,
need to be
yeah.
making bank.
So I would get the title of the GOAT, and then I would go to MMA, go in the UFC.
no, that's-
so that's perfect. I'm
Ronda
down for
went
that.
late.
Yeah,
Like you don't have to be. You're 19.
yeah. I'm down for that. 100%. Let's do this.
There we go, guys. I'm creating boxing champions, creating MMA dream
I'm down.
fights.
I'm so ready.
Wow, the summer of the next big thing, guys. I can't wait.
You could just throw the world at her, and she's going to try to beat it. That's what she's going to be. She's going to be a world beater. That's
attitude in the world.
Absolutely.
Oh
it doesn't matter what you throw at her. She's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm down for that too. You want to be
you want to run uphill while doing it?
Let's do it.
I love that. That's the best attitude
Glory
in the world.
Kickboxing champion too. We're going to do that way.
Yeah, I'm down, John. Let's do this.
She's going to get an Abu Dhabi World Jiu-Jitsu Championship on the way too, right?
I'm ready. I like a challenge.
We get a super fight on Dean Toole's promotion June 15th.
Yeah.
Be the undercard of Mazadov versus Pettis.
Hell yeah.
Tapping out someone. I can't. That is easily a new trendy thing for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like the
super jiu-jitsu fights?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're
cool.
hot now. UFC Fight Pass. Chael Sonnen's got, I think, his organization.
Underground submission or whatever. Yeah.
And then I talked to Jillian. She had the sub stars, I believe, on 420.
Yeah, they started pulling Polaris starts pulling other UFC guys off of it. They have a lot of different ones. Eddie Bravo does the Invitational. You have all those big ones. Benson, like a lot of guys were competing back in the day in the Abu Dhabi and the ADCCs. And really, like, even though they were fighting, but they would take off that little time to fight if they didn't have a matchup or anything like that. There was a bunch of fighters. Benson Henderson is always over there, just going at it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It is.
That's really cool. I think we're gonna get. I think Trey's been on there for a little bit. We'll get him going. Taylor, anything else? Shout outs. Wishing Shelby a healthy next 3 weeks.
Of course, 100%.
We always want all the fighters to make it to the scale and make it there.
100%.
We want everybody to be 100%. You know,
that fight.
You always want both of them to be 100% walking in.
Yeah. No, me too. Like
I'm not like a rude opponent. Like I'm not nasty. I don't have to talk shit. Like I hope nothing but the best for between us. Like honestly, no matter which way this fight goes, like it's just gonna help both of us. Get better and get to the next level.
For sure. And we talked about this all the time. Mm-hmm. At an amateur level, I want to fight the toughest.
100%.
And I want to fight different styles. Like
so when you go to pro, like you don't feel the
Conor
difference.
McGregor's amateur record?
Who
gives a shit? No one knows.
Yeah,
Jose Aldo won like 14 years. Like his amateur record was like 4-3, I believe. Like no one gives a shit.
They ask you like there's like in boxing and in amateurs in boxing they just ask you how many fights do you have. They don't ask you what's your record.
Exactly. And like it took me so long to get my mentality like that because I was like always terrified to lose.
Sure.
But like honestly, like I just woke up and I was like, okay, like. Who cares, honestly, unless you're in the pro.
Thailand, it's the same thing with kickboxing, Muay Thai in Thailand. They don't ask you how many fights you've won. They say, how many fights do you have? If you say you have like 100 or something, they're going to be, the more you have, the more respect you get.
Just fight as much as you can. Yeah. But I don't hope
one of the guys who's considered the greatest lost like 9 times in a row. And he was still considered the greatest after he lost. It didn't matter. It's cool. It's about like you earned the level of respect from it. So in amateur, that's what the mentality she has is perfect. It's like because it's all about learning. Like we go to compete and win.
Yeah.
Obviously,
100%.
Like absolutely, but that's the perfect mentality. She's going to learn from it.
Yeah, and
that's what's going to make her better.
It took me a long time to get a mentality like that. Honestly, like. I just had to put myself first and focus on myself and get that mentality that like the only thing I'm concerned about is being a world champion. That's it. I don't want anything else
Even
in
when
life.
she wins, the first question is, tell me the truth, John.
Every single time I fight.
Every single time she looks at me, it's just tell me the truth.
Every single time I fight.
Just tell me the truth, John.
And I know who'll be honest.
I'm like,
oh, I love that.
100%.
I just chuckle every time she asks because I know it's coming at some point.
And I know who'll be honest. I'll be like, John, did I look horrible? Like, tell me the truth. No, John, did I look bad? Tell me.
All the time.
And so boxing skills with your dad, Coach Pete White, the Wizard, that I just nicknamed him. You got John, the Professor, teaching you up on so many. You got so many great people around you. Hannah Goldie, hopefully we'll talk to later on tonight. You just have so many great people around you, but like there's nothing. All these skills, like you said, you're building. But if you don't have this mentality, and to me, out of every fighter we've talked to, I talked to so many fighters. Your mentality is just top notch. It's like one of the best in the game. It's just. There's just nothing but world championship written on it. Like that's it.
If I sit here and say like, oh, I'm gonna lose, like you know what I mean? You can't be like that. Like I already think I'm the greatest, honestly, and that's not in a cocky way. Like I'm the most humble person you'll ever meet. Like I promise. Like I work my ass off to get like this, and I go to Orlando and I get beat up every single time I go there. But like it doesn't stop me. I still think, like I know one day in my heart, like I'm gonna be a champion. Like my head's already there.